Hey everyone, we are live. I'm just going to do a quick mic check to make sure because I came in a hurry. And let me change my microphone real quick. I think the phone might be a little bit better. Can I get a quick just audio check to make sure that you guys can hear me okay? And we'll start answering some questions here and get this presentation going. So today we're going to be covering a different topic. So if this is your second time jumping in, this is going to be a brand new topic. This is a different series. I have 4 series. Thank you, Barbara, for letting me know. We have 4 series. We do one a week. And last week we did a getting started for Jira, but today's is going to be a little bit more technical. Today we get to do a getting started as a Jira administrator. Okay. So this is going to be, again, a little bit more technical, very, very much from the administrative side of the house. Last session was more on the user perspective. Today we're focusing on some of more of our IT folk, right? The folks that have to manage and configure and use and set up Jira for the teams, okay? And the topic that we're going to start off with today is a team managed project configuration. I wanted to start there because team managed projects are what Atlassian kind of pushes you into. And I do say that pretty strongly. But team managed projects are usually where things start off, right? When you sign up for Jira for the very first time, you're going to be inside of a team managed project. And so I wanted to kind of just start there to kind of kick you off with a good understanding of how to get started as a Jira admin, right? Because being a Jira administrator gets really, really hard, really, really quickly. Okay. But there are ways, there's ways to build up that suspense. And over the next year, right, over the entire next 12 months, we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing exactly that, where we're just going to be building and getting better and better and more sophisticated and more advanced. But we're going to kick things off with the easiest mode, which is just managing a team managed project. Because when you look at management of a Jira tool as a whole, team managed projects is where there's the least amount of effort, right? Well, I say that strongly, but and probably make some people mad, but team managed projects is supposed to be trivial. It's supposed to be that you don't need to have a strong IT background. You don't need to have had to have years of a system administrator or a Jira administrator to get started. It's designed so that anybody and everybody can ideally just jump in and have fun and do some little tweaks here and there and be able to successfully configure Jira, right? And to a certain level. And so that's why we're starting off here, because this is going to be easy mode. But starting next month, it's all just going to get a little bit more complex, a little bit harder, and we're just going to build up, right? So this is going to be like, if you're familiar with the babushka dolls, the Russian dolls, where this is going to build. Every session, we're going to build and get a little harder and harder and harder until we eventually have mastered what I'm going to call like 80% of the project solution, or 80% of the configurations that you do as a Jira administrator. So anyways, a little bit of a slow roll today. I had a meeting that ran right up into the time. So appreciate y'all taking the time here to be here with me. Again, as I mentioned, this is Team-Managed Jira Project Administration, part of our Getting Started with Jira Administration series. A couple of friendly reminders for everybody. This session is being recorded and will be available on YouTube after. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you smash that subscribe button right now. This is going to be a great opportunity for you to hit that subscribe button, so that and hit that bell notification, because I do drop 4 live trainings a month. And so you're going to want to know when all these things are dropping. The slides aren't going to be available, but to be very honest, there's not a whole lot on the slides. I'm going to show you a couple of things, but we're mainly going to be in Jira. So make sure you're paying attention. If you need to watch the replay, because maybe I went through something a little too fast, make sure you take advantage of that replay value there, so that you can, again, rewatch a section that you may have not 100% clicked with you. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I do have a lot of trainings. I have like 900 videos on how to use Jira. So definitely a great resource. If this is the first time you're in this channel, just take a second there to smash the subscribe button. Say hello in the chat. That's always helps. I am monitoring the chat. I am a jack of all trades here, and I'm a master of ceremonies and I'm the instructor, but I'm managing the whole thing. So feel free to drop in the chat there. Utilize it. This is a two-way street. This is supposed to be an interactive session, as best as I can do it, right? As best as I can teach and talk at the same time. And so feel free to say hello. Let me know how many years of experience do you have as a Jira administrator. If it's your first year, welcome. If you're on year 15, maybe hopefully I can teach you something new because seasoned Jira administrators don't always spend a whole lot of time in team managed projects. So you might learn a thing or two in a team managed project that I definitely sometimes didn't know. At least when I started looking into team managed projects a little bit more. So hopefully I got something for the entire spectrum from no years of experience all the way to 15, 20 years of experience. Hopefully we can learn a little something. I do ask questions at any point in the chat. So as you know here, we got the chat, it's live. So just ask your questions. I'm going to scroll up. I have like stopping points throughout this training. And so I will stop every once in a while and just look at questions and see if I can answer either just verbally or through a demonstration. But we will have a dedicated Q&A section here at the end. And at the very, very end, we will have an exclusive offer for everybody here in the audience. So make sure you do not drop. Make sure you stick around for the whole thing because we have some very, very exciting things coming up here. All right, so a little bit about me before we get too far into the material. If this is the first time you watching one of my trainings, welcome. Again, my name's Alex, and I basically teach people how to use Jira. This is what I love to do on this YouTube channel. And like I mentioned, I do have over 800. I think I'm approaching close to 900 videos on how to use the tool. So a lot of good resources on here. I do have the ACP 120, which basically qualifies me for this. In the ACP 120, you are expected to know how team managed projects work and company managed. So you do need to know both. So this is why, again, we're starting there because it's the easiest out of all of them. I also do have the ACP 520, which is also an administrator test. This one's focused on the cloud administration, so admin.atlassian.com. Now, we won't be talking too much about that in this series. This is a little bit more advanced, but definitely, if you are looking for ACP 520 resources, I do have a 13-hour course in this channel, so make sure you go check that one out. And then I'm currently studying and preparing for the ACP 620. So I'm getting ready for the Jira project one. So that hopefully, fingers crossed, I get it before sometime in March. I'm thinking that's going to be a little bit in March. So ACP 620 is on the horizon. I also do have 2 engineering degrees. I have a bachelor's in computer engineering, a master's in systems engineering, and a bunch of certifications in like cybersecurity. I do have 2 YouTube channels. This is the main one, ATech Tech Tutorials, and I have another one called The Jira Life, where I and myself and Rodney, the Jira guy, we are co-hosts of The Jira Life, and we also have our producer, King Bob. We basically talk about all the things happen in the Atlassian ecosystem. So if you're new to the Atlassian ecosystem, or even if you're a seasoned veteran, I encourage you to scan that QR code. I am going to be dropping a link here as well to kind of encourage you to join our ever-growing community here within the Jira Life. It's a pretty cool place. It's a podcast once a week. It's live every single week on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern. And again, we have guests sometimes. Most of the time we have guests, but we definitely just talk about all things happening in the Atlassian ecosystem. So either hit that link or scan that QR code. And with that said, that gets through all my marketing spiel. And what are we going to be learning today? So as I mentioned at the beginning, Team-Managed Jira Project Administration. And we're going to cover 5 things today. We're going to cover issue types, custom fields, the workflows, notifications, and then permissions. So this is going to be an action-packed session. Again, if you have any questions about any of these at any point, do feel free, jump into the chat. I am monitoring, I'm watching the chat, and we are going to have fun. And so if you're joining here, make sure you say hello in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and then also let me know how many years of experience you have as a Jira admin. And I'm just going to look through here. So we have a good spectrum here. So we have a couple of people that are in their first year. So awesome, Barbara, Victoria, welcome. I hope being a Jira administrator becomes everything you wish it is, and I hope that you have a great experience. We also have a couple people here that are, I would say, mid-range, right? So we have Anna MT Alhadi, 3 years. I think 3 to 5 years is that middle sweet spot. And then we have Ted going on 10 years. So congrats. I'm on 8 personally. And so definitely a long journey here and a long journey ahead. I do not see Atlassian slowing down. I don't see Atlassian being dethroned. I see the future of Atlassian pretty strong into the future. All right, so we'll come back to the exclusive offer. For what we're going to do right now, we're going to jump into Jira and get started. So again, if you have any questions at any point, I am watching this chat here, and so I'm going to take some pauses in between those 5 topics to answer questions that you may have. So at any point, again, feel free, don't be shy. This is supposed to be a two-way street, right? So utilize that chat to ask questions and have some fun here. All right, 10 minutes in, let's jump into it. We're gonna go get ourselves into a Jira team managed project. Now, as you can see, I don't have any. This is a brand new Jira. And so I'm gonna start off by creating a brand new project. And I'm gonna take the moment here to kind of also walk you through some administrative decisions that you make when creating a project. So in case you're not aware, there is a fundamental difference between team managed and company managed. I'm going to leverage creating a new project to take advantage of that. Now, when you create a new project, whether it's team or company, you have to first make a more critical decision. You got to pick what type of project you're going to have. Now, 90% of projects out there are what's called software projects. That's usually what Jira is used for from a software development perspective. But Atlassian has been going through great efforts to make sure that all type of work is covered. And so we have this work management one. So any one of these, except the product ones, I think the product ones are only team managed. But any of the other ones that you see here, as long as they're for Jira or Jira Service Management, they're going to be you're going to have the option to pick either team or company. The template will be the same. The experience is similar. There's some subtle differences, but for the most part, you first pick what type you're going to want. So I'm going to pick a Scrum because that's, I would say, 9 times out of 10, we're picking Scrum. Again, if you're using Jira, you're probably an Agile team, and so Scrum is going to be the template. And then when we hit use template, we're going to be taken to this next screen that lets us then pick. This is the biggest fork in the road. This is a very interesting fork that you should know situationally what this does. And a little disclaimer, when you first set up Jira for the first time, Jira kind of guides you through the process of creating your first project, but you don't get to pick. It's just automatically team. And that's kind of why I wanted to start off the conversation, the trainings there, because you're most likely, if you're not aware, right? If you're not aware that there's 2 different types, you might just be operating out of a team managed project, and you might be going, why can I not do the cool things that Jira's marketing material says I can do? And that's because all the cool features in Jira are reserved for those company managed projects. And the team ones, I like to call them like watered down versions of Jira. It's like using Jira in easy mode, while the company one is using Jira in super hard mode. And so there is like, they're very drastic, right? They're opposite sides. And so we're going to start off with team because, again, that's the easiest. Feel free to read through these, but essentially, I just summarize it for you. Team managed projects are very simple, but the biggest selling point, the biggest reason why you would use a team managed over a company managed is a couple of reasons, really. But one, it's self-contained, so the impact happens only in that project. So if you're a brand new Jira administrator, you're going to love team managed projects because you can make mistakes and not sabotage the rest of Jira, not break it. And so this is helpful. This is welcoming for brand new Jira administrators because, again, you can afford to be a little bit less expert mode and make some mistakes. And when you make those mistakes, they're self-contained. They're not going to blow up your Jira. Versus if you're a 10-year admin, right? We have a couple people here that have been here for a few years now. You might just absolutely hate team managed projects because they're just so limiting with respect to what you can do from a standardization perspective and just workflow properties and all the cool stuff that you can do in Jira. Team managed don't have that, right? So you're probably very frustrated if you're a seasoned Jira admin that we're even talking about team managed projects. But again, we have a full spectrum, and you should always know how these team managed projects work. So with that said, we're going to click on team managed. I'm going to give it a name, my team managed project, and we'll choose our access level. And this right here is a teaser for what we're going to be talking about at the end. Notice the level of permissions is only 3, and you'll want to come back next month, because we'll talk about this company managed projects and I'll show you the difference. There's a big difference. But for now, we're just going to make a team managed project, make it open. Again, we'll talk about what open, limited, private means towards the end, and then just leave the default key. In case you didn't know, in case you're a new Jira admin, what Jira does is it takes the first letter of every word, so M for my, T for team, M for managed, P for project, and just sticks them together. I recommend whenever you're creating a new project, you should pick letters that you can easily use in conversation, because to say MTMP is not going to roll off the tip of your tongue. And so you should always pick some sort of a name or word that is easy to converse with, because you're going to be saying these letters a lot in conversations with your team. And so it would be an expert level tip for you to make sure you pick something that just sounds better, because saying MTMP is going to get really annoying really, really quick. But because I'm a team of one, I don't care. I don't talk to myself other than to you all on the camera, because it does sound like I'm talking to myself when you look at it from a third party. But anyways, I'm digressing. All right, we're going to hit continue. We're just going to accept these, and we are successfully inside of a team managed project. Now you may be asking me, Alex, how do we know we're in a team managed project? Well, not only did we just click through those steps, but let's assume that you inherit it, right? Let's just assume that you're a brand new Jira admin. Your company already has projects existing. You're like, Alex, how do I know if I'm in a team or company managed project? Well, that's very, very simple. You may need to zoom in here. So I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit, right? But when you come down here in the bottom left corner, you're going to see Team Managed Project. Now, if you're in the new version of Jira, so there is a new Jira that's being rolled out. I'm going to give you a little teaser, because this is the new UI. You can currently sign up for a beta. Atlassian is in beta mode. This is not rolled out to everybody, but we do have a new version of Jira coming out. And if I go to my projects here and I pick on a project, you're going to be able to select these three dots. And here, it'll tell you if it's company or team managed. So Atlassian making some changes I'm not always too happy about, but it is what it is. But for now, if you're in the old UI, this is where you're going to go to find out if you're team or company. Because this is very important, folks. How you administer, how you configure your projects, if it's team or company, are very, very, very different experiences. Very different. So you want to make sure you're always grounded and understanding, where are you? What are you doing? How are you doing it? So that you do it correctly. Otherwise, you're going to make some bad assumptions. All right. So with that said, to do what we're going to do in this video, for the rest of this training, you should be a Jira admin. I don't think you have to be a full Jira admin for team managed projects, but it does help. But I will tell you that you should just, at the very minimum, you need to be a project Jira administrator. And what that means is, when you go to a Jira project, you get to see project settings here. If you scroll down on the left-hand side and you do not see project settings, I hate to break your heart, but you do not have the right permission that you need in order to do this successfully. And so you may have to talk to an existing project admin. You might have to talk to your Jira admin. You might need to talk to somebody, but somebody needs to give you a admin rights on this particular project, so you can then do the things we're going to be talking about. So make sure you can see project settings. It's going to play a very critical role here in making sure that we can do what I'm going to be teaching you here. All right, so assuming you are a project admin, right? Assuming you have the right privilege, you're going to be able to get into that project settings. And there's a lot happening here. I'm not going to cover everything, because some of these are just very basic, but just very quickly, in this detail section, you can control, like, rename a project, you can rekey a project. I would refrain from ever doing this, because yes, Jira is much better. If raise your hand in the chat, how many of you are admins for data center? Because if you're an admin for data center, you're probably going like, what the heck is a team managed project? So you all don't have that. You all don't have team managed projects, so data center need not apply. But if you were maybe in a previous life a data center admin and you're coming into the cloud, indexing might be a bad word for you. It might bring bad memories, right? And so you might remember that indexing Jira was a problem back in the day. A lot of that, I'm happy to say, Atlassian has solved. And so you can rename and rekey your projects, and Jira is going to do all its things in the background. But keep in mind that filters still kind of behave very wonky. So in general, I don't ever recommend you rename or rekey your projects. But yeah, do with that information as you will. Sometimes you'll follow good advice, sometimes you won't. We'll see. Liz Tanner says, through the fire, and I'm here in LA. All right, Liz, I'm 50 miles east of the fire, so hopefully you're not too close to those fires. It has been crazy. I have winds. I hope my power stays on. I haven't lost power yet, knock on wood, but we're definitely very, very windy situations in Southern California. So hopefully nothing bad happens. Anna is in DC and Cloud, and Lori, when did you rename? Because I'm talking like 2015, 2016 time. Like, you could always rename, but re-indexing Jira was always like a scary moment for me. And so hopefully, I haven't been in data center for a minute now. So hopefully Atlassian has fixed all that. But it used to be a very scary thing to do at least 8 or 10 years ago when you when you renamed the project. So yeah, so probably not that long ago. Probably, hopefully, Atlassian has fixed a lot of it too. But I'm telling you, there was a moment in time where renaming a project was a really bad idea. All right. So other than that, we have our category. This is something that only Jira admins can do. Well, only Jira admins can create categories, but once the categories are available, any project admin can select it. You can also change the project lead. The project lead is a very important person, in my opinion. As a Jira admin, I like to be very careful with who my project leads are because every once in a while, somebody's going to ask you to change your workflow or add a new admin to the project. And depending on where you work, depending on your company, depending on your processes and your rules, you may or may not want to consult with the current leader and ask them, hey, is this a good idea? Is this okay? Do you approve of this? And I like to just make sure that my project lead's always up to date with some authority for that project that can speak on behalf of that project, because when it is time to make administrative level changes, you don't want to just blindly make those changes, right? And so I always make sure my project lead is good. And then we got our default test ID. I like to leave this as unassigned because, fun fact, if you do this and your project lead leaves the company, right, if they're no longer have a Jira account, you have basically just broken Jira because no new issues will be able to be created because the other assignment won't be able to be operational, and it's just bad news. So I like to always leave everything unassigned, but again, your mileage is going to vary based on your policies and what your team wants to do. Okay, we're going to come back, talk about access and notifications. We aren't covering automations. We aren't going to talk about features. We're not going to touch board or tool chains or apps, but we are indeed, as promised, going to jump into issue types. Okay, now keep in mind we are in a team managed project. So what this means is that when I create an issue type in here, and you'll see that there's a plus button over here that says add issue type. When I create an issue type, that issue type will exist only in this project for now. Okay, and that's very key because you can create an issue type called bananas. If I could spell bananas, I should probably pick a word that I can spell, right? And when you do that, bananas exists here. I have an issue type called bananas, and bananas only exists in this project. Okay, that's it. If I wanted to reuse that issue type, if I wanted to go to another project and also use bananas, guess what? I have to recreate bananas. And I can prove it to you as well because I can click on this little gear here, go to issues. You do need to be a full Jira admin to do that. And when I come here, these are the global issues. These are where company managed issues go. Again, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you drop a like in this video. Hit that bell notification because next month we're going to start talking about this stuff. But if I type in bananas, and it's not a refreshing thing, right? It's not, I can refresh all day long. And maybe if I spell bananas correctly as well, I can go to banana, right? Banana. You'll notice that it doesn't exist. And that's because anything we do in these team managed projects are encapsulated. Those settings only exist here, which again could be a gift or it could be a curse. If you have to do 20 new Jira projects and they all need to have this banana issue type, you're going to get some carpal tunnel because you got to go into every single one of these projects and add that banana. For all my data center folks, this sucks. Like, why would you do this, right? Data center doesn't have that privilege, right? You always create a global issue type. And again, we'll be covering those in the subsequent sessions here. But it's pretty important, right? Understand that in these team managed projects, you have a lot of leeway because creating stuff here, even something as silly as creating an issue type called bananas, will not be stuck in here. All right, we have a couple of questions here. Sure says, can we rename the issue type in company managed projects? You absolutely can, but keep in mind that these are global changes, right? So if I were to come in here and I click on this axis one, and you can click on these three dots over here, click on edit and rename it. But sure, the big problem, this happens for everybody. This is not now self-contained to just one project or one team. Everybody gets their issue type renamed. So you want to be very, very careful because with great, like as Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. And if you mess this up or you change this, you might be thinking you're just doing it for one project, but this is global. This will impact everybody. So I would never rename a company managed issue type unless you really had to. I would rather just create a brand new one and leave the old one alone, just swap them out in the project. Again, we'll be covering that in the subsequent months, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Frank's asking, I have a question about filtering. As far as I know, there's only one board per team project. Can you filter for system fields within team managed projects combined with that? Yes. So we'll talk about custom fields in a second, Frank. But yes, you are correct. Boards, team managed projects only have one board, but you do have the ability. They will behave like a regular Jira project. So any custom field that you have in there, it becomes a searchable field, and so you can go to your search, go to basically any way you get to search, and you'll be able to search for any of those fields. So I will tell you that Atlassian is making these fields global. They're all becoming like system fields at this point, which means that even custom fields within, actually it's in reverse. Any custom field you make in a company managed project. So if I go over here in the global settings and I create a custom field here, any custom field I make here, if I'm not mistaken, we'll test it. We'll test it in a minute, but I'm pretty sure it'll show up here. So Frank, hold on to that question. We'll come back to it, but I'm pretty sure about that. Liz is asking, wouldn't that break potential automations? Yeah, so a lot of things can break. The moment you start renaming anything, expect things to break. Expect your filters to break. Expect dashboards to break. Expect automations to break. So even renaming a project, right? This is why I said you want to be very careful because it seems harmless. It seems like, oh, it's so easy to rename things. Always, always, always think about the impact, and it's a severe impact. I mean, you might not think it is, but if you have a 10,000 person company and 900, 5,000 people where you had a filter that references bananas and all of a sudden you changed it, you're going to have some very, very mad people. So we can't change it for any particular company. So that is correct. So if you rename it, you're going to change it for everybody. So share in your case, you're going to want to create a new issue type and put it in just that project and then take out the old one. That's the best advice I can give you. Can you copy issue types between projects? In team managed projects, no. You have to recreate everything manually. In company managed projects, it's yes, because you don't copy them, you just point. And you point to the same source and it's just the same issue type. Liz says, wouldn't be an issue if they get a static ID. Yeah, that's a different conversation for a different day, Liz. Riz says, how can we merge both the same tickets in JSM? That's a tricky question. You don't, and there is no merge capability that I'm aware of, and you unfortunately will have duplicates in Jira. And so Jira has a resolution that allows you to close as a duplicate, and so I recommend you take advantage of that. All right, Jack says correct. Frank says renaming is always a trap. Absolutely, always a trap. Just because you can do it, folks, doesn't mean you should do it. And then Liz says, I get disassociated imagining numbers of tickets. I get it. Yeah. All right. So, folks, in case you missed it, right? Adding issue types is super, super simple in these team managed projects. You simply come over here, you click on this button, and you give it a name, and that's it. We're done. So you can call something like a feature, right? If you wanted to create a feature, you can change the icon, and so you can pick from any of these amazing icons. And I recommend you do not duplicate, right? The story, the bug, the task, the epic, they all have their default icons already. So pick something different. So I would click like this plus button so that your team doesn't get confused. Because if you have two issue types that are the exact same icon, that could be problematic. You also do have the option to upload a photo. So if you wanted to be creative and make your own icon, maybe in Canva, that is also an option that you can explore. I will also show you as a teaser, just because it's fun. Atlassian, I'm in my personal Jira here, and under issue types, I just wanted to show you something pretty cool. In case you haven't played with the demo or the beta yet, but this is my favorite feature, is the icons. Make it a little bit bigger. The icons have been reimagined. The bug is no longer an ugly white circle, and so you have this little cute little bug. But these are the new icons for issue types going forward. So actually, they're called work types going forward. But pretty cool icons. I think I like them better than the existing ones, but I just wanted to give you a little teaser. This is what's coming to a Jira near you very, very soon. So in case, again, you haven't seen it, these are the new icons. Exciting. All right. So back over here, the only bad part, though, is when you're talking about issue types in team managed projects, all you can do is create what Atlassian calls a level 0 issue type. And so anytime you create a brand new issue type, it's just going to stick itself right here in the middle. You cannot create new issue type at the epic level. You cannot create new issue types at the subtask level. This is a huge limitation of team managed projects. Good morning, Sean. Right? I know. I'm not excited. Work type, I don't know, Atlassian. Just please leave it. Leave it. I know. New merch is coming with these new icons. So stay tuned. The new Jira Epic and Bug and Story shirts are coming very very soon. But yeah, I don't like this work type. And yes, 100% ticket. I would have loved ticket, but work. Oh well, we lost that battle, Bob. We lost that battle. All right. So again, this is what's happening in these team managed ones. Super super simple. So that's it. That's when it comes to issue types, you can either create them. I don't see an opportunity here. You could probably click into it, and there's these three dots over here. You can delete the issue type if you want. For whatever reason, you don't care for that issue type anymore, you can delete it. But like all great things in Jira, once you delete something, it's permanently gone unless you have some sort of a backup solution. But even then, I don't think backup solutions back up team managed projects as well. So I would exercise extreme caution whenever you think about deleting an issue type, because it's a pretty serious endeavor deleting anything in Jira. So that is how you add, and that is how you delete issue types. And I wanted to start there because all the other topics, right? So we're going to go over to, let's come back over here. Now we're going to start talking about custom fields, right? And the reason we started there is because the custom fields are managed on the issue type in a team managed project. So unlike company, where you can independently go and create custom fields a la carte, you can create a custom field, you can create 1,000 custom fields and just have them. In team managed projects, you can create 1,000 custom fields as well, but you have to put them onto an issue type. And so in order to get to the create a field view here, you have to click in to an issue type. So you have to make your selection first, and then on the right hand side, you'll see that we have the ability to create a field on the right hand side. And so this is why I started with those issue types, in case you were wondering, because it's a chicken and egg situation. So when you create a custom field, again, because you're in a team managed project, because things are a little bit more annoying and you don't have this concept of a scheme, you have to go into each issue type and pick your fields. Now, I'm going to generalize fields a little bit more, not just custom fields, but you do have fields and then there's custom fields. Well, let me rephrase. You have system fields, like default fields, like fields that ship with Jira, and then you have your custom fields. As far as you care, it doesn't matter if it's a shipped with Jira field or if it's a custom field. A field is a field at the end of the day. And so the only difference is that, like, description, summary, priority, you can't rename those fields. You can't mess around with them too much. But your custom fields, you have a little bit more flexibility with them. Okay, that's really the only major difference. And so just know that on the right hand side of any issue type in a team managed project, we have the ability to create, which we're going to talk about in a second. But if you scroll down here, you're going to see that we have all fields, and you're going to see that we have 172 fields. And if I click on my custom fields over here, you'll notice that I have 189 custom fields. So not exactly the same. So what that tells me is that there's some custom field types that team managed projects just don't support at all. And so naturally, they just won't be displayed. So don't freak out too much if you don't see a particular field. It just probably means that the type of that field isn't supported in these team managed projects. And you can see kind of a teaser as to what is supported up here. And we'll talk about them in detail in a second. But down here, these are any existing fields. So as a general rule of thumb, right, this is something you should take to heart, something you should follow, good advice, if you will, from Dr. Jira, is always try to reuse a field, right? If somebody asks you, hey, Alex, I need a field to track the start of a project. So I need a start project date. Don't create a new field called start project date. We have an existing field called start date. Reuse that one, okay? Try to reuse whenever possible. And also, if you are going to go down the road of creating custom fields, always double check to make sure that the custom field doesn't already exist, because I can't tell you how many times you have accepted criteria as 3 different fields or 3 different start date fields because somebody went and created 3 different start date fields without checking to see if you already had an existing field existing. So before you ever create a new field, always double check that it doesn't already exist. Okay, it's gonna save you some headaches, right? Just some tips from the vault of a Jira admin that's been doing this for way too long and hasn't had too many scars. And apparently Rodney can empathize here with what we're talking about. Okay, so always double check, always reuse. Okay, so first I'm going to show you. So assuming that the field that you want exists, how do we put it? How do we make it available? Okay, and so over here on the right hand side, you simply grab your field. So I'm going to grab start date and you bring it to the left. And you're going to have 2 sections. You have something called description and we have something called context. And then we have hide with empty. There's 3 categories to this whole thing. So what do each of these mean? So the description field, this should be like a paragraph. So anytime you're working with paragraph fields, this should be here. But it doesn't matter. Jira will let you put whatever you want. I can actually drop the start date here. But what does that mean? Well, that means that whenever I have an issue, and everybody close your eyes for 1 second. I need to create my first issue. Okay. When you create your issue, right, everybody just close your eyes for a second. Oops, I have to hit save. I need to create an issue so I can show you this next part. Right. But whenever you go look at an issue, and I'm just going to open up in list view, and I'm going to open up this issue here, you're going to notice that this thing is divided into a couple of sections. We have our summary up at the top, that's non-negotiable, that always sits there. We have the description here, that's always going to be here. And then we have the context section over here, okay? And that is what's being described inside of that view that we were looking at, right? Where think of this big section from here to here. That's that description section. So if you ever want a field to show up here, you would create it or put it in this description section, okay? It doesn't mean the description field, but it's just the big section. The context section is anything in this details area over here. So you can put where they show up over here. And then at the very bottom, you saw that hide with empty. That's down here. So I don't have any hidden ones, but down here, it'll have like a hidden section. And any field you're not using, you can hide them with empty, especially when you hit create for the first time. So going back to my project settings, you may be asking in the chat here, why did that start date not show up? Well, it's very subtle. You might have missed it. But this start date, I added it to my bananas. And I didn't create a banana issue type. I created a story. And so in this case, if I were to go to story, and this is where, again, it's a pain in the butt. This is why I love company managed projects. But here, you technically can drag and drop your start date over here, put it in the same spot, hit save changes. And now when I open up that specific story that we were looking at just a moment ago, you're going to see that I now have my start date, and it is above the description. Notice that it's right where I told it to be. And so if you've ever wondered, how can I move these things around? That's how you do it as well. So we're going to go back to our project settings here and go back to our bananas. And so basically that's how you add an existing field anywhere in your Jira issue. So you do need to decide, is it in that big section? Is it in that details? Or is it hidden down here when empty? Okay. Decisions you have to make as a Jira admin. So that's how we add existing fields, but how do we add a custom field? Well, over here on the right-hand side, you essentially, you got to drag and drop the field. So let's assume that we wanted a drop-down. We're going to put our drop-down here. And usually drop-downs, most of the time, if it's not a paragraph, as a general rule of thumb, I'm usually adding it. The best place, in my opinion, is to put it over here under the context fields area. If it's a drop down, but again, your mileage will vary, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you do you, boo. But I'm gonna reserve this area for like description, acceptance criteria, steps to reproduce, big paragraphs, and I'm gonna put drop downs, little dates, stuff like that over here on this under the context. Okay. So once you pick, right, so I simply drag and drop a drop down, you're gonna like favorite type of banana. Right, and I'm just going to Google this, banana types, and I probably shouldn't have. I'm going to put names because I don't know what images were going to come back, so I'm glad bananas came back. And we're going to have red banana, we're going to have blue Java, and manzano. So I'm just going to add those as values. And so in here, under your options, you can put like red banana, Manzano, and my short-term memory, blue Java. I don't even know that's a banana, but it's in there. Okay. I don't expect them to know the name of banana types of bananas. Yes. So, anyways, so these are the different types of bananas. You can put a description, right, on like pick your banana type, right, and you hit save changes, and then that's it. So now that's it. Just like that, our banana type field exists. It's right here, favorite type of banana. When somebody goes to hit the create button, they will pick the right issue type. We did this in bananas, and you will now have a field right here called favorite type of banana, and now you can pick it. And that's how easy it is to add a custom field to Jira. And the unfortunate reality is now, if you wanted the same field to exist in the task or to exist in your story, it's not going to be there. And the reason is because you're in a team managed project, you, at least before, I think it's better now. I think it's much better now, right? I think I should be able to go over here, see how it's now a field available. I think this is a new feature, but now I can drag and drop it, but I do have to recreate, I have to re-add it to every issue type that I want. And again, maybe you do, maybe you don't. That's the beauty of being a Jira admin. You get to make those decisions. Okay. Fun fact: I had no idea that there were so many different types of bananas. I thought we just had bananas. So, and Bob, add that to the Alex discovers that there's different types of bananas. I had no freaking clue that we have so many different types of bananas. That is a lot of different types of bananas. I mean, maybe I've lied. Maybe I knew there was two. I've seen these little ladyfinger bananas, but that's it. I did not know that there were so many types of bananas. That is crazy. So many bananas. Okay. All right. So basically, that's how we add custom fields. So your limitations in team managed projects, of course, is you have to pick. You're limited to these types here. So you can pick a date. You can pick a user picker for people. You can do a checkbox. You can do a URL. You can do a number, timestamp, which is similar to the date, but the date is just going to be like January 14th. The timestamp is going to be January 14th, 7:43 a.m. Right? And so that's the difference here. And then you can, of course, do a paragraph, like if you want to do your acceptance criteria, or a short text box, like, I don't know, your first name or something like that, right? And don't tell me about that things. You guys always like to troll me so much. Anyways, that, my friends, is how we add issues or fields to our issues. So if we come back to our slides here, that's custom fields. And now we're going to talk about workflows. So very similar to the fields, every single one, let's save, okay. Very similar to the fields, every single one of these issue types can have or will have a workflow, right? And so you come in here and you can edit your workflow. And as you can see here, the problem, let me rephrase what I just said. Every single one of these issues, I got to add clarity because what I said is technically wrong. Every single one of these issue types will have a section here where you can edit your workflow. So if you click on any of these, it's going to give you the ability to edit the workflow. Okay, so from any of these issue types, you will get to edit workflow. The problem is, because you're in a team managed project, and somebody in the chat, please correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, you don't have schemes, you don't have workflow schemes in team managed projects. So all your issue types have to follow the same workflow. This is not the case in company managed projects, which is again why company managed projects rule. And fun little, well, I'll save it to the end, but we'll come back. Somebody remind me about my cool t-shirt that I'll show you. Okay. So unfortunately, then again, you have to have the same workflow. So again, you can click on any of the issue types, but it's going to take you to the same destination. And so once you're in here, you're going to be able to make changes and update your workflow. And so you can add new statuses by simply clicking on this to-do status here. You're going to either pick an existing status or you're going to create a brand new status. And so let's just say we wanted to do like new. And so we can create a new status here. Click on, you can change, what can we change? Well, we can just click on add and it's going to put it in there. We can click on a new in progress status, right? Like code review, and click on that. You'll notice that it's blue. Click on add here. And now we have a new status of code review. So very simple, very easy. We can add any kinds of statuses, whether they're a to-do status category, an in-progress status category, or a done status category. I did take the 120, Sean, but it's been a minute. I don't necessarily remember everything. You can select which issue types use that workflow. Okay, so tell me where, because I don't see this. Show me, Bob. Okay, so I can see that we can save it here, but how do I break it out? How do I break out the issue types? I'm not seeing it, folks. Bob's telling me that I'm wrong, but I don't see the button. So if somebody can show me the button, I don't see where the button is to, I can edit, remove the issue types. Oh, you got to work in reverse. Okay, that makes sense. So if I add a new status, let's add another one called NQA. All right, this is how much time I spend in team managed projects, folks. When you hit update, you want to get rid of bananas, save and continue. And when you do that, so you're working reverse. This is not intuitive for me. When you're why is it asking me not to review the columns? Okay, so now I see. So it breaks it up. Okay, we'll come back to that one in a second. So once we do that, we can now see that if I click on bananas, we are now managing the banana. So again, you have to work backwards, folks. You have to work in reverse. In a company managed project, you kind of separate it however you want, and then you can modify your workflow. But in these team managed ones, you have to essentially make your change and then exempt, I guess the right word, take out the right one. Yes, team managed projects does not equal intuitive for company managed projects, right? So thank you, Jack. At least I'm not the only one. And yes, this is bananas. I can't believe it works like that. That is just seems so backwards to me. All right. Anyways, so that's how we make different workflows. So once you do that, again, you got to put the cart and then the horse, right? Or maybe you got the chicken first and then you can do the egg, right? But once you figured it out, then when you go to edit your workflows, then you'll see that the other workflows don't have that. But for some reason, my NQA is still there. So I don't know, guys. I don't spend a whole lot of time in team managed projects, but that's how we add team managed or statuses. How do we add transitions? So we're allowed to basically drag and drop from one status to the other. You can do a drop down too if you wanted to redirect it, and you give it a name. So you can say start progress, and we can do that here. Hit create, hit update with my workflow, and hit save. And that's gonna. What's interesting though is that it seems like I can re-add the bananas one back in. Oh man, this is weird. Okay, so if I hit close here, and I go to bananas, and I go to the workflow here, I should not see that transition to start. See, this one's missing the NQA, and it's missing that transition. So it is possible then for you to create different workflows in team managed projects, but again, it's just gonna work a little wonky when you've created 10,000 company managed projects and this is your first team managed project. It's gonna feel different. So learn from my mistakes and don't do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so as you can see, very easy to add transitions. You can also just click here on the transition button, pick the transition you want to go to and from, and then just say like, I don't know, canceled, right? And then you'll have your transition there. And you can move these around so that they look a little bit cleaner. I don't like this looking ugly. And so you can mess around with these things here. And you also have the ability to add some rules. Now, your rules are a little bit more limited, especially when you compare those to a company managed project. But as you can see here, you can restrict to when a field is a specific value. So for example, in my banana workflow, right? If I wanted only when red bananas are selected, then if red banana is selected, then you can make the transition. But if not, then no transition. So there's a couple of cool things here, a little bit more advanced, and I am running out of time. I got like 5 minutes left. So at your leisure, go back and look through these and try them out. My recommendation is if you're brand new to Jira, try these out. Because you're in these team managed projects, you can't mess anything up for anybody else. So make your own team managed project, make it private so it's only for you, and try each of these out so you can understand the behavior, because these are kind of cool. Validating the field, right? Making sure that there's a specific value or that there's a value provided versus a specific value, right? There's some differences here. Make sure that people have a specific permission, right? So there's going to be some really subtle but cool things here that I recommend you check out. And if you're in a company managed project, you get way more options, but these are cool. You at least get something here. So check out the rules, play around with your workflows. The only thing that I'll cover now is like ready to deploy, right? oops, I can't spell deploy. When you add a new status, as you can see here, and you hit your update workflow, you will then be able to, it's going to prompt you to say, okay, so modify your columns. So you can move columns around, you can edit the names here. And so once you kind of pick how those things are going to look, you can stack the statuses as well. And so you have an option. This is kind of cool. Actually, I like this feature because in company managed projects, you update your workflow, and then you have to remember to go update your board. So this is kind of cool that it kind of reminds you immediately, but you can stack things and do the changes you got to make here right before you hit save changes here, and then you're good to go. Then your board's ready to go. So kind of cool there. So that's on your workflows. Up next, we're going to go to notifications. We're only going to spend a couple minutes here because there's not a whole lot to cover. But if you go back to your team managed project here, we're going to close out of here. Every Jira project has notifications. You're going to go back into your project settings. There's a settings button here. And here's where you can add notifications. Now, the drawback here is that your notifications inside of team managed projects are very, very limited. Let me take off one very. They're very limited. Not very, very limited, but limited nonetheless. And so you can only have a few options. So you don't have as many options as you do in a company managed project. And then who can be a recipient, that's limited. That becomes a lot more limited. So you simply click on add notification here at the top, and then you pick the event, and then you can only pick from this list. So there's no custom field. There's no special stuff like you can in your company managed projects. And so you just pick who should be able to see that notification, click add, and that's it. Or let's say that you want to not notify people when an issue is deleted, or you want to notify more people, you can click on edit here and pick more people, right? It's up to you on what you want to do there. And you can just modify like that. And that's it. Now, keep in mind that these notifications, unlike company managed projects that are usually the notification scheme is global, although you can change that. We'll talk about that in the subsequent weeks and months. But notifications here are restricted to your project. So again, you can't really mess up too many things because these are going to be in this project. So keep that in mind. All right. We have, yes. So let's go. Ronnie, we're going to talk about permissions here in the last 3 minutes that I have and help you understand this. So when you look at a project, you have 3 types. There's private, limited, and open. You can manage a couple more roles. We'll talk about that in just 1 second. But for the most part, you can make a project private, which means if you make a project private, you have to add everybody. You have to come here to the add people, and you have to add every user. Okay, that's if it's private. Only admins and people that you add to the project are going to be able to search, view, and create. If you pick limited, that one's interesting. That one means that if you want somebody to be able to create issues or you want them to be able to edit the issues, then you still have to add them. But everybody else, anybody who has access to your Jira will see that project. So when they go to the list of projects over here, they will see your team managed project. So if you don't want that to happen, you have to make it private. Otherwise, understand that anybody's going to be able to come in and do some window shopping and be able to see your issues, but not necessarily create or edit them, but definitely see them. And then the final one, which is the most drastic one, is open, which means anybody is going to be able to view, edit, create. It's open to everybody. Anybody can do anything. So my preference would be at a minimum, do limited. And then if you can get away with private, do private. But definitely limited is going to give you the right balance. Okay. So we'll do that. Oh, shoot. I don't want to do that. And then we have roles. So as you can see here, we have administrator, member, and viewer. And administrator, member, and viewer are going to do 3 different things. Now, what do those 3 different things do? Well, you got to click on this manage roles up here. And then you can click on this little plus button. No, sorry. You can click on this here on the gray area. And then it will tell you what you can do. So if there's a checkbox next to it, you can pretty much do that activity. And so administrators obviously can do almost everything. But if you click on like member, you're going to notice that some of these are deselected, okay? And you can't edit these. It doesn't look like it, right? Because Jira created this role, you can't edit it. But if you were to create a new role, right, and call it like Bob's role, then you can select the checkboxes that you want. And so you do have the ability to create your customization of like a specific role that you give to somebody, and then pick what they can do once they have that. Ronnie says, fun fact, the private project settings page is still visible for Jira admins. The issues in the projects are private unless Jira admins. Yes. So absolutely. So every Jira admin always has a backdoor to every project inside of Jira. Everyone, regardless of permissions, they always have the backdoor, but they can't see the issues unless they're in the project themselves. But fun little fact, Jira admins can add themselves to the project, so then you can see it. So you can't hide. You can run, but you can't hide. All right, folks. So that brings us back basically to the end. I wanted to let you know we do have an exclusive offer here. Covered everything here. Again, team managed project stuff is kind of easy. I want to give you a little exclusive offer and 2 bonuses today, just because I messed up and I'm going to continue to mess up for the rest of the month of January. But as you know, I do have paid courses, especially if you looked at that link tree earlier. I have a paid course on Udemy. It's $13 right now. If you use this code, I'm going to drop a link in the chat here. And you're going to get 2 added bonuses today. So for today only, and Udemy tells me when you all logged in. So I will be reaching out to you via Udemy. So expect a message from the Udemy system, not from my email directly. But if you buy the course, normally $90, down to $13, you get 2 bonuses today only. And again, one of those bonuses because I messed up badly. But bonus number 1 is if you sign up today and today only, you will get a free 15-minute session with me. That's usually a $50 value. And so totally free just by signing up. And 2, because I don't have time, or I don't have a lot of time. I have some time, but not a lot of time. I'm in the process of recording a Jira administrator's course. It's going to be about another 4 to 5 hour course. It's not out yet, but if you buy this course, if you buy the Jira fundamentals that I have, you will get the Jira admin course for free. And so you basically get the 2 courses for free. Again, just as I'm sorry, I haven't been able to record these videos in the last 2 months that I've been trying to record it. So extra bonuses only for today. You will get the free 15-minute session. Plus, when I drop the Jira admin course, you will get that one for free. So I'll make sure you get a code for that. And I'm going to be reaching out to you all when I drop that course. Fingers crossed, early February. But it's today only, so make sure you take advantage of that and use that coupon code to get that $13 course. And again, you're going to get 2 free things, which I think is a pretty good deal, right? $13, you're going to get 2 $90 courses plus a $50 session with me. So make sure you take advantage of that. And then I also want to tell you about all the other courses. So as you can see, we are in January. These are every single Tuesday for every single month. And we are down to, there's a lot. So if you haven't signed up, make sure you sign up for these courses. It's going to be, let me drop a link here for that. And so make sure, I have a lot of courses. I got into a lot of trouble right before the holidays because I put them all available. So these are all available in that link in the description or in the chat. Go sign up for my classes. We have a lot going on. These are in categories, right? So this is all my getting started with Jira. This column is my Jira admin one. This is going to be my Scrum Master one. So if you're a Scrum Master, you're definitely going to want to come back for that. And then I have my Jira Advanced Roadmaps. So make sure you go hit that second link. They're all free, totally free, but we have a lot of classes coming up the rest of the year. So again, every single Tuesday, literally almost every single Tuesday for the rest of the year. So go sign up for those. And then finally, I'll drop back that first link. As you know, you're here, you made it this far, you should at least connect with me on LinkedIn, right? So if you don't take advantage of the free course, if you don't take advantage of the bonus offers for the paid course, at least follow me on LinkedIn or connect with me on LinkedIn. I do have membership abilities or opportunities too. So if you just want to donate, you can do that. Or I have membership tiers. Again, scan that QR code, check out that Tech link tree there. And if you need one-on-one help, I can offer that. I also have a couple of other free courses that might interest you, hosted over on Salto. I have a merch store. We do have a t-shirt that says "Friends Don't Let Friends Make Team Managed Projects." So if you enjoyed today's presentation and you hate team managed projects as much as I do, make sure you check out that shirt. And then, of course, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you take a second here, hit that subscribe button, go over to the Jira Life, show us some support, subscribe over there as well. And then I will be doing an instructor-led course here very, very soon. I just need to get these Udemy courses out the door first, and then we're going to be doing instructor-led courses. If you're interested in that, send me a message, connect with me on LinkedIn, and stay in tune for that. So that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week where we'll do the Scrum Master one. So thank you very much, and see you all around. Don't forget, exclusive bonus today only. Take advantage. Bye.